Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Secure the Seat Live. I am your host, Minda Harts. Thank you so much for joining us. You could be anywhere on the internet right now, and you're here with us, so we don't take that lightly. If this is your first time watching Secure the Seat here on LinkedIn, welcome. You're already part of the squad. And for those who watch us every Monday, thank you for showing up. Thank you for building community. And, we appreciate you so much. So thank you so much again. I can't believe we're in May. This year is just like plowing by. I'm not sure where it's going, but I'm here for it. We talk about securing our seat at the table, whatever that might mean to you. That might mean building your own table, sitting at somebody else's, taking a break, whatever that might mean. But regardless of how you do it and what type of work you do, you will always need some rest. You will always need some self-care. You will always need to be your healthiest self. And we want to talk to you a little bit about that today. And I thought there's no other person that I could ask to come on Secure the Seat than my girl Candy. You probably follow her here either on LinkedIn or IG. She is a wellness expert. She is a speaker. She sits at a lot of different intersections. I think she's probably one of the coolest people on Instagram that maybe I follow because I love her content. But again, thank you all for joining us. And without further ado, I'm going to bring her to the stage because we're going to talk about how we gonna need rest in how our brain works, because we can't get to the end of this year. We can't achieve our goals if we don't have the right mindset, if we don't have the right amount of rest. I know for myself, at the end of 2022, I had burnt myself out so much that I was crawling to New Year's. Okay, so I don't want any of you to feel like you have to crawl anywhere. Let's get the rest we need. Let's take care of ourselves, having the right tools in our toolkit. So I'm going to bring Candy to the stage. Hey, girl, how are you?
Hi, Minda. How are you?
I'm doing well. So good to see you.
So good to see you and so good to be here with your community. I'm so ready to pour into you and to get talking about the good stuff, which is rest.
Rest. Woo, we need it. But for those who may not know about you, Candy, tell us a little bit more about you and your path and all the good things.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, if this is the first time you are seeing me live or on our interview, my name is Candy Calderón. I am a wellness expert and brain health professional. That means that I work with people who want to improve their brain, the way they execute, and want to, most importantly, prevent instead of react. It's so important that we think about our brain is our most important organ in the body. No arguments about that. And what I realize is that so many of us are being very reactive instead of proactive. And then we'll get into the story how I got into this field and the work that I'm doing to create that awareness, especially within professionals of color. Of course, serving a wider community, but I'm very passionate about that. And basically just creating and planting those seeds about the benefits of us prioritizing our well-being instead of the grind. So I'm very happy to be here and chat all about it and hopefully create some awareness.
Listen, we need to swap out some rest for the grind. So you already are hitting us with the facts, with the hard facts. Okay, so let's get into it. Can you explain the connection between sleep and brain function and why it's so important for busy professionals to prioritize their sleep?
Yeah, and whenever I share this wisdom nuggets, it's very important for me to share that I don't share those from a hilltop. I share this because I've been down in the valley and with the struggle, and because of my own experience as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and back, as I say, in my past life when I was in corporate, I also was I was Team No Sleep, believe it or not, Minda, but I resigned from Team No Sleep long ago because I realized it was not serving me. It was not really doing anything, and it wasn't a smart choice to make. And I started showing so many cognitive decline in my, not only mentally, but also physically, and the way I showed up in the world for myself, my mood, my health, how it affected so many other areas. It was just not that I was not rested. It was not just that I was not sleeping properly. It's the way it was affecting my brain and my life in general. Now, I come from a family of huge cancer history, and because of my own mom's history with cancer and going through chemo, lots of women, and hopefully none of you here watching us live had the unfortunate experience of having a loved one with cancer, but I know that so many of us do or have. And women develop something that is called chemo brain, which is that down the line, after they overcome, it's like insult on top of injury. After they overcome the cancer, they start to develop in cognitive decline. I will start having conversations with her. She will start forgetting things that we spoke about, things that happened, names, and that really scared me into diving deep and researching about cognitive decline and how it affects not only women, but people in general. And that's when I had the aha moment, and I realized that, wow, it's not only people who go through cancer. Of course, they're first in the line because of the chemo brain and the cognitive decline that we can experience because of chemo. But then I realized that one of the biggest offenders is lack of sleep or poor sleep quality. And what is one of the biggest, I would say, transgressors of our time, especially for people like us, it's like we're willingly sacrificing our sleep for the grind. And one of the main connections is that a body that is sleep deprived cannot have a brain that is thriving, because there's a beautiful process that takes place when we're sleeping, which is like swiping away the toxins that we accumulate throughout the day. So if we don't give our brain that space to clean out those toxins, it will pile up and affect our cognitive fitness. So it's very important. And if you think about it, why do we need our brain to be really fit and be in top shape? We create memories. We are able to process reactions, not only create memories, but hold memories, which is so important. And for us who have businesses or are in corporate working with a team or leading a team, also those executive decisions, mental focus, not experiencing brain fog. So it's so important to think about how it correlates, the lack of sleep, with how fit your brain is. And when I talk about brain health, I also want to clarify that brain health and mental health is not the same thing. Although one sits in top of the other, when I'm talking about brain health, I'm talking about the actual physical fitness of our organ, as opposed to mental health talks about more of the emotional part of our well-being. But you cannot have good mental health if your brain is not thriving. So a good mental health will always sit on top of a brain that is working properly. So I always want to make that a clarification, because it can get confusing.
Listen, you're dropping all the tambourine moments right now, Candy. Thank you for just pouring into us, because I hope my brother, who I work with, is listening too, because both of us sometimes, unfortunately, our team no sleep, not because we're doing all the things, right? And we just have to get that rest, and we cannot, while we're prioritizing our goals, we got to prioritize that rest too. So thank you for reminding us and giving us all. We're going to drop Candy's information in the chat, because you need to be following her, you need to be hiring her, you need to be working with her, and making sure that you're prioritizing, as well as all of us should be doing that. So this show is for everyone. Candy, what are some strategies for improving sleep quality and quantity, particularly for those who have limited time to devote to sleep? Because I'll tell you, I'll even put myself on the line right here. I don't know how I've created this, but it's hard for me to sleep over 5 to 6 hours. Like if I get 5 hours of sleep a night, I feel like, wow, I've done something spectacular. Just my sleep is like all over the place. So talk to me, talk to all of us who are having some issues with devoting this time to sleep.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. It's so funny that you mentioned that people who are might not have the time to devote to sleep, because that's pretty much that all the people that I work with are, corporate executives, entrepreneurs, and we are always like, oh no, I don't have time for that. I'll sleep when I die. Have you heard that phrase before? I know you have, because I've said it myself in the past, of course. And while I work with corporations, either doing my workshops or training their workforce, or working with individuals who are now switching to, thankfully, prioritizing their well-being, and just because it makes more sense to have that sustainable success once you start prioritizing your well-being. So the main thing that I teach them and I coach them through, or in my workshops that I teach, is that no matter the strategies I teach you, the first step is taking action. I can pour into you all my strategies, my blueprint, all the knowledge that I've gathered throughout the years, and it will not do anything unless you take the decision that I will do this. I will take action. And especially for our audience, people who are professionals, and many of them, are going through corporate ladder, is decision making, and making a decision to move forward is the most important thing. Now, of course, there are several optimization blueprints and practices that I share. And I would say the first thing is to create consistency, because it's very important. There's something called circadian code, and it's the wake sleep cycle that we all have. And it can vary because nothing is written in stone. Each person is very different. For example, your daily dynamics are not the same as mine. A person who's have a family and have kids, or a person who's traveling all the time. So pinpointing what is your circadian code. Are you going later to bed, or are you a early riser, or do you go early to bed and wake up early, you go late? And then you have to analyze, and then I help you to reach that point where you know what is your circadian code, and based on that we start implementing strategies. And the first one is consistency. Try to go to bed and wake up at the same time, because when you confuse your body waking up one day and the other day waking up at another time and then going to bed at another time, and that happens, I see a lot that, especially with entrepreneurs who have a little more like flexible schedule, or people who are traveling a lot, sometimes people who are still working from home. We see it all the time. So stick to a schedule, and that way you teach your body and you try to balance out your circadian code. 9 p.m. is your time that you think is doable for you to go to bed every time. Go to bed at 9 p.m. 7 p.m., 6 p.m., 4 a.m. in the morning is your good time to wake up. Do that. And this idea that you need to wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. to be successful, I don't subscribe to that. The idea is what works for you and what is your reality, what is your dynamic. Also think about just giving the very, very basic of optimization tips and strategies is try to eat at least 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. Why I mean that? It's very important. Have you ever tried after a full-blown meal to go to sleep? How do you sleep? Please tell me, and then I'll continue with the strategies.
Listen, I always have regret. Not well.
Let me tell you, and that makes a lot of sense, because when you go to bed and you just ate, especially a big dinner, what's happening is that now your body is focusing all that energy in digestion instead of the R's, as I call it, which is regenerate and then resting. And your body is not able to do that because it's now focusing on digestion. And I always ideally suggest an 8-hour window when it comes to eating. So let's say if you have dinner at 7 p.m., then wait until 7 a.m. the next day to eat, because then you allow your body not only to do the digestion, but do the regeneration phase, not only internally with your organs that help with the detox, the kidney, the liver, all that good stuff, but also the brain. Remember I mentioned that beautiful process that takes place when we sleep, the regeneration and cleaning of the brain, that cannot take place if your body is focused on and wasting and investing the energy in doing digestion. So 2 to 3 hours before going to bed is very important. The foods that you eat, hopefully low glycemic, which means that won't spike your blood sugar. A lot of people go to bed at a consistent time, eat a decent meal 2 to 3 hours before bed, but then they do not experience good sleep because they have issues with blood sugar, and the blood sugar levels, it gets spiked, and then at night that affects the weight and the quality of your sleep. So there are nuances to experiencing good sleep, but definitely consistency, eating with a good amount of time in between you going to bed, choosing and trying to identify your circadian code, your circadian rhythm. And I try to stay away from meds, Minda, and from supplements that are habit forming. So I hear a lot of people, hey, can I use melatonin? Can I use this? Can I use that? And I focus first on habit and lifestyle changes instead of medicine, instead of habit-forming supplements, because there's an underlying situation that is affecting your sleep. And by just taking melatonin, we're just putting a Band-Aid. So for me, it's always very important to emphasize that. I personally never suggest or prescribe melatonin or any habit-forming supplement because we're not addressing the cause. We're just putting a Band-Aid.
Ooh, Candy, you're stepping on some of our toes because I know some of us are popping melatonin just because we feel like we need it. But I'm glad that you're giving us the strategies to be able to, get on track. And oftentimes it's really sometimes our lack of education, and you are schooling us today on Secure the Seat.
Yes. And also I would say, my background is technology. I work with software development companies for almost 10 years. I'm not trying to age myself, but here we are. So I'm a big believer in utilizing technology if it will help us instead of creating anxiety, because sleep anxiety is something real. And I know that you might have experienced it, and I know I for sure have experienced it, when it's like I'm not sleeping well and I know I'm going to suffer for it tomorrow because I'm not sleeping well. Or I know that today I know I'll have to go late to bed because I have so much to do, and that creates anxiety. And look, life is very hard as it is. So on top of it, let's remove things. So for me, my work is to remove things that get in the way of you experiencing really a thriving brain, and by way of good sleep, because it's the biggest offender. So I will say, if you need an app to do your cues and remind you, hey, it's time to wind down, iPhones and Androids already have the wind down feature. Use it. Change the night shift mode. So after 6 p.m., your phone, instead of that blue light really disrupts your circadian rhythm, switch it to yellow light that is not so disruptive, and it doesn't get in the way of your body producing melatonin naturally. You can use an Oura ring, for example, like this, no affiliation, but you can use an Oura ring to track your sleep and give you that good data. What we don't track, we cannot improve. But of course, I could be here and giving you so many strategies. We'll be here for 10 hours, but just the basic things, common sense and committing to taking action and following through.
Ooh, listen, we are dropping Candy's information in the chat. I don't have to convince you that we all need Candy in our lives. So make sure that you follow her here on LinkedIn. Last question, Candy, because like you said, I could ask you questions all day. How can, and you've touched a little bit on this already, but how can nutrition and exercise impact brain and sleep health? And what are some specific recommendations for our leaders watching today?
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to switch things up. I know for many of us, the message has been consistent in high intensity and workout 7 days per week. And I would say it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And there's something also to be said about the consistency. Again, if the only thing you have is 10-20 minutes, commit to that and follow through every day. And it's very important. Physical activity is very important for brain health because it fosters the blood flow, and we need that to provide oxygen to our brain. A brain that is deprived of oxygen, we all know people who they lose brain function just because they lose oxygen to the brain for seconds. So when we help our body to, in that flow of blood via cardio, via exercising or breathing exercises, which I love, we are providing our brain of that extra oxygen, which loves, we actually need. Nutrition, listen, it's so important. A lot of people are also afraid of fats. We all know, oh my God, don't eat fat. So, well, not all fats are created equal. Actually, our brain thrives with fats. I would say a lot of fatty rich fish, like for example, salmon, mackerel, sardines, which I love, leafy greens. I love, for example, blueberries are amazing for brain function, walnuts. And if you think about it, walnuts they're almost similar to a brain shape. And I love, that's like a power punch, blueberries with walnuts. And if you think about it, all of those have healthy fats, the walnuts, the salmon, hydration, super important. Our brain needs our body to be hydrated in order to function properly. There's so many ways that we can continue to support and foster a thriving brain, a good bacteria in our gut. If our gut is not healthy, our brain cannot thrive. There's something called the gut-brain axis, and that is very important. So probiotics food, sauerkraut, any type of fermented food. I don't know if you like any type of kombucha, which is fermented tea, kimchi. Those are delicious foods that we can always eat in order to help with the probiotic content of the foods that we eat. But if not, a good old probiotic, that will also help, because I know life gets in the middle. So I hope I gave you a few ideas. It's not complicated, but you have to be intentional.
You use thank you for that. You use the word commit, and I am challenging each of us. If maybe you're doing some of this already, let's commit to doing more. Let's commit to living a healthier, you said another word, lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is very important. Oh, Candy, you dropped so many gems. Again, we are dropping Candy's information. Make sure you connect with her, hire her. Let's change together. You know, let's have better brain health. Let's let's get more sleep. Team, more sleep. The right amount of sleep.
Okay. And even I want to do even more, go extra hard for you, Minda. You know I love you, and I know that also we heal as a community. It's easier to heal when we have community, when we have support, when we have accountability. So I wanted to do something extra special, and then we can drop it in the comments or in the description of the show. I'll add a free pass for your community so they can join me in 2 weeks. I'll be teaching one of my best master classes about how to improve your sleep without medication. And I want to invite all of you in your community as a gift from me, and so we can thrive together. It's not hard, but it needs intention and it needs strategy. And I want to teach you how to do that and how that can benefit our lives as professionals, inside corporate, or in your life as an entrepreneur. So I want to do that for you and for your community.
Oh, thank you so much. Listen, we just got a gift, y'all. Do not pass up this gift. I don't know about you, but one of my love languages is gifts. So if you like that too, okay, listen, take advantage. Thank you for your generosity, Candy. Listen, tag somebody in the chat here on LinkedIn. Share this. Success is not a solo sport. I know you know at least 5 people right now who need to hear this, who need to get to the masterclass and get this gift as well. So let's share. Let's bring a buddy with us to the masterclass. So don't delay. Do that right now. Tag somebody. Thank you, Candy. Like I said, I could talk to you all day, but I have 2 last questions, our bonus round questions before we get out of here. And I am a lover of grits and rap lyrics, and I know, hey, you spent some time in Philly, so I'm sure you've had grits, but how do you like your grits?
Look, it, again, I love I'm from the Caribbean, so you have to add a little situation on top of it, a sauce, give me spices, give me a little seasoning. So, I just like savory.
Okay. Okay. All right. I like that answer. I eat my grits salt and butter. That's how I rock. I'm very like basic. I just like it. But on special occasions, I might add a little shrimp. But
I
that's
was
how
thinking
I.
about shrimps. I was just thinking like, give me like, it's, some shrimps on top of it, like grilled. You read my mind.
Exactly. Exactly. We need sleep and we need a good bowl of grits. What is one of your favorite rap lyrics and why?
Oh my God. I have to say, and this is sound like a cliche, but who cares? I love Cardi B, not only because also, she being Dominican, but her story really resonates with me in the sense of creating something out of nothing. Me and my own journey as an entrepreneur, as an immigrant, as a woman of color. And I really love how candid and vulnerable and transparent she is. And I think that one of my favorite lyrics is from her song Get Up 10, that it's says, I get down 9, but I get up 10. And my favorite part is when she says, and then I look in the mirror and I say, we're going to win. I talk myself in the mirror all the time. And I really believe in the power of you telling yourself you're going to win. This is going to work out. And giving myself affirmations and giving myself that pep talk that sometimes I wish somebody would come and give it to me. And then I'm like taking that power and I'm having that conversation with myself. So I always, and how great that we can have like a rap song with that little sprinkle of affirmations and the power of intention in there. So that's my favorite one.
I love that so much. Yes, and it's so funny. Like some people will say, well, rap. There's no positivity in that. But listen, I get a lot of gems and jewels, and even for people who may not be familiar or only put Cardi in a box, she be dropping some good affirmations too. So thank you for reminding us that our self talk is also part of our brain health. Right.
Very important. Very important.
I love it so much. And lastly, we have all of our leaders are watching. Some of them will watch us live. They'll watch us on the replay. And I often say to them, you don't need your manager to come and tell you you're a leader. You don't need a promotion to now say that I'm a leader. You get to lead at any time. You get to activate that leadership at any given time. How can our leaders watching today make the workplace better than they found it?
I think it's so important that we are, as leaders, intentional with understanding intersectionality and the nuances of the people we lead, because we're not a monolith. And if we see it from this mountaintop and I'm just looking down and trying to lead a group instead of going there with them, understanding the people that I lead, the different perspective, the nuances. Who am I trying to lead, and why should you follow my lead? And a leader, I think, needs to understand the people they're leading, where they're coming from, have embraced what makes them different, because it's very easy to say, yes, let me lead this group, but I am not necessarily understanding where they're coming from, their backgrounds, that intersection where the magic happens. And for me, that is very important. And that is the same principles I also take in consideration when I'm teaching, when I'm creating my workshops with the people that I'm working with, because every person is different. Every company has a different culture. And when I'm teaching my workshops, when I'm doing my education, I take that in consideration, because in order for you to lead people and to touch people, you need to understand where they're coming from.
Period. Thank you for that. I love that so much. Again, we're dropping Candy's information and her special gift that she gave us to join her at her next masterclass. Candy, how can people find you, follow you, all the things? We've been dropping it in the chat, but just want to, hear it from you.
Yes. You can follow me in here on LinkedIn. Just type my name, Candy Calderon. You'll be able to find me. I want to connect with all of you. If you are more of a on Instagram for some BTS and more like daily life, Candy Calderon, you can literally find me, Candy Calderon, everywhere, on Twitter as well, on my website. As soon as you also join us for the masterclass, you'll be able to be part of the community and receive my newsletter, which always drop the juicy nuggets for well-being and giving you the strategies that really successful people implement in order to have sustainable health, and they can continue to pursue their dreams and their vehicle of life is sustainable. So those are the same things I'm sharing with you in my community. And listen, I am also thank you for everyone who's tuning in live. And for those of you also who are catching the replay, I'll make the commitment to hang with you in the comments for the next 24 hours, answering all your questions. So drop all your questions in the comments. I'll make sure to come back and answer each one of them. So don't be shy. Ask us questions. Tag me in there, just in case you want to also drop some wisdom nuggets. But I'll be hanging with you in the comments as well. Okay, so don't be shy.
Oh, listen, you given us all the gifts, girl. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. This has been so good. You're having me think about my life a lot differently. I mean, you always do whenever I engage with your content, and receive your nuggets. But we need this because we can't secure any seat anywhere if we're not together. Okay, so thank you for what you do. Thank you for showing up, and everybody make sure that you connect with Candy right now. Do it right now. Don't wait, and drop your questions in the chat so that you can get those answers. Thank you, Candy.
Thank you for having me.
All right, see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that was such a great call. I love that so much. Listen, Candy gave us all these great gifts today. Don't delay. Join the masterclass, follow her, hire her. If you have a question that you've been like, wait, I just got to ask, drop it in the chat. How often are you going to have a wellness expert who said, I will answer your questions and do it here and hang out with you in the chat? So listen, we all need this. I might have to think about a couple questions I'm going to leave in the chat after this, but it's the time in our show where we do our affirmations, which really lends nicely for the Cardi B lyric that Candy dropped. So we're going to bring Mike to the stage, and he's going to do our May affirmation. Hey, Mike, how was that? Did you hear what she said about sleep and rest?
You're always on me about that. I'm always on you about that. That's funny. Look who's talking.
Listen, we are not getting any younger, despite what I like to tell myself. And so we have to make sure that we do what needs to be done. Okay, so let's commit to each other, Michael, that we'll do better. Can we commit that we'll do better?
Sure. I'm all about it.
Okay, we have to. We got dreams and goals and babies, that need us for the journey, and we need to be our healthiest selves, for if not for ourselves, for them. So drop us with the hotness.
Yes, our May affirmation is, I love the way I always take care of myself. Again, that's, I love the way I always take care of myself. It seems like the last few shows, the last few episodes, it's been about self-care and self-maintenance and finding small joys in life and a bunch of different things. So I think we need a lot more self-care. And again, like we've been saying, you take care of your work, you take care of your job. We've been on salary jobs where we will work overtime without even getting paid overtime, with somebody going, oh, that's nice what you did. Them not even caring anything about what you did, but we'll neglect our health. Some of us don't visit any physicians or doctors or anything. We don't take any care of ourselves, and we have to be careful of that. I don't care if you're younger, older, whatever age you are, you're perfect the way you are, but you have to take care of yourself and you have to love doing it. So again, our May affirmation is, I love the way I always take care of myself. And as you speak that more and more, it'll help you. And don't try to do everything all at one time. One of the biggest things, one of the biggest trends now is fasting. And we see people, man, I fast for 14 hours straight and I fast for 3 days straight and 30 days straight. You might try just one meal, or you might try just cutting back. Let your body do what it needs to do. You know your limits. You know, don't try to compete with the internet. Don't try to compete with Instagram, what they tell you and all these different things. We honestly don't know who's telling the truth and who's not. We don't know who's really fasting 30 days. So we have to be careful of that and really allow our bodies, when our bodies need sleep, it tells us. If you're at the desk going like this, your body needs some rest. If you feel like, you know, you've been eating the wrong foods or something, if you're going from 8 sodas, if you start with 8 sodas, don't start with no sodas the next day, because you're going to have a headache. Then you're going to drink 16, the following day. Let's start small and love the way you take care of yourself. Love the way you take care of your body. That's your May affirmation.
Listen, Mike said it all. And even if you're not, let's speak that thing as though it's true. We can start right now. Like Mike said, if you're used to having 10 Pepsis a day, what would it look like to have 9? Okay. If you're getting 3 hours of sleep, what would it look like to maybe get 5? You know what I mean? And up the ante. If you're not eating leafy greens, what would it look like to supplement something that, candy corns, whatever you like, and you have a salad for that snack? Or Candy gave us some good tips of walnuts and berries, right? So let's do this together, y'all. Let's commit. Let's take good care of our bodies, because, we can't do our best work. We can't give to the people who love us the most when we are exhausted, when we are burned out. And listen, we don't get to our final destination if we're not loving on our bodies. So nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect, but what I will tell you, just legitimately, honest, just 2 days ago, I realized, you know what? It's time for an annual physical. It's time for me to see my doctors, all those things. The maintenance is very, very important. And so I made all my little appointments and all the things, because regardless how busy we are, we got to prioritize our health for the preventative things and just to make sure that we're good. So thank you so much for joining us. Summer is approaching and we're going to have some breaks and but some really good things coming down the pipeline. So we'll keep you posted there. And if you missed our book club last month, we have this Secure the Seat book club. This month's book is The Alchemist. Go to my page and register so that you can join us here on LinkedIn to have that conversation. All right. And if you need more affirmations and good brain health, make sure that you go to MikeHartz.com. He has his affirmation book there. And we'll see you next week. Keep securing your seat.